All right, here we go again. Let's see what card we're going to draw this time. Oh, card 24. Treat today as tomorrow. This is John Paulus, and you're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet. And thank you for listening. Let me read from this card. As soon as you realize you can do something to contribute to your flourishing, do it right away. If you absolutely must, schedule a working meeting with yourself this week where you do what you need to do. Say something that you should do right away but are putting off. Why are you postponing it? I bet something came to mind right away. Card 24 here is one that I remind myself of on a daily basis. And I'm going to continue to do that until I don't need to remind myself anymore. And I feel like I'm getting there. Because in the beginning, you start by putting things off. And you know what happens when you put things off. You never get to them. And I find that not putting things off helps others in addition to you because it makes you more reliable, because you're not going to kind of delay and dither about setting up a meeting, about getting a particular report done or a particular document you need to finish or a plan or a strategy or a budget. You're not going to delay. You're going to do it right away. And I think that practice becomes a habit after a while, as I said. Am I at the point where it's a complete habit? I feel like I'm getting there. During a day, the number of times I need to remind myself to do something right away, or as the card says, put a meeting on a calendar with myself to do it. And that works as well, because sometimes we can't do something right away because of circumstances beyond our control, and we can't let ourselves use those circumstances beyond our control as an excuse. This is actually kind of similar to what I was saying in the previous episode about card number 19. Understanding that there are a near infinity, let's say, of things that can happen around a decision that you're making that are out of your control, that knowledge is power because it gives you peace. It centers you. It says, okay, I can only do what I've decided, and that has to, by rule almost, eliminate the worry about the countless other things that are not in your control. And so treating today as tomorrow is taking some of that control for yourself of your actions and yourself. It is saying that today I will get this done, and I'm committing myself to that, and I'm holding myself accountable to that. Treating today as tomorrow is ultimately about accountability. And this is why earlier I said this helps with your interactions with others, because it makes you the kind of person that people know holds themselves to account and therefore is going to be reliable. And we talked about this earlier as well in a different episode about being predictable and reliable because you know what choices you tend to make. And projecting that predictability and reliability is so helpful in your interactions with others because others can count on you and they could understand how you're going to act. And that predictability makes what you do very valuable. I think I used the example of sourdough bread where you're producing the same loaf again and again and again and again. That's what businesses that sell sourdough bread do. You don't expect to come in and have a different loaf tomorrow morning at La Boulangerie. You don't expect a different baguette tomorrow or a different boule. You expect to get the same baguette and the same boule you got yesterday at La Boulangerie. Okay, that's enough bread talk for now. Being accountable to yourself contributes to your flourishing as well because it brings a lot of self-confidence to know that you're reliable yourself. We always talk about projecting these things for others, and that's a kind of smokescreen we create because ultimately we're trying to fool ourselves that, like, even though I don't believe it about me, others believe it, so it must be true. And that's kind of where actually operating from weakness happens. When you don't really believe something about yourself and you're desperately trying to have other people think this about you when you don't believe it about yourself. But when you start believing something about yourself and you know it to be true, you know that it is true. You know that you're not conning yourself. We talked about that in the last episode, the idea of when you are conning yourself. And when you believe something about yourself and you know it to be true, then that makes you a reliable person for yourself. That makes you accountable to yourself. So in a certain way, we kind of are turning it inside out. And treating today as tomorrow could also be said as, first, treat yourself as a reliable person for yourself, and then become reliable for others. No one ever says it in that order. But it's very similar to that card about the emergency situation, with the airline situation where we had the loss of cabin pressure, the oxygen masks come down. Do you put it on the kid sitting next to you first, or do you put it on yourself first? We all know the answer. Well, we all should know the answer is that we put it on ourselves first. So being reliable first for yourself and being reliable in your own eyes will then enable you to be reliable in the eyes of others. So treating today as tomorrow is not a simple matter. It seems so glib and easy, but it's really a hard thing. And the reason it's so hard is because it is holding ourselves to account continually and never allowing ourselves to be unaccountable to ourselves. And when it comes down to it, aren't we always our toughest critics? We know that, and it's been said hundreds of thousands of times, but there aren't a lot of ways that have been offered for us to work on that. So, as soon as you realize you can do something to contribute to your flourishing, do it right away. In fact, as soon as you realize that you can do anything and hold yourself to account for it, then do that right away. On the YouTube channel, there's a playlist for this card, and included in that playlist is a video of a type that I really enjoy watching, and those are restoration videos. I don't know if you like watching these too, but I just find them really satisfying and fascinating. I think this has to do with craftsmanship, and I've talked about this a whole bunch of other times. Those restoration videos are really like the pinnacle for me of craftsmanship, because you're taking something that's rusty and broken and you're renewing it in such a way that involves such intricate detail, that involves such skill, that involves such knowledge. It also involves care and a commitment for getting details right, for getting the little things right. And so for this card, I thought it would be fun to have a video of the restoration of a flip calendar. And these are neat things. This one, the person who's doing the restoration describes it as being 80 years old. And it's the kind of thing where when you flip the kind of, it's almost like, looks like an old cell phone, like an early cell phone. It was very small brick cell phones from the early 2000s, maybe even the late 90s, but they're not flip phones, but they're like little tiny bricks, and it looks like that. And it's on a pivot that's attached to it in the middle, so that when you flip it over, it'll change the date to the next day. I'm not sure if it also eventually affects the month, or if you have to do the month yourself. But anyway, check out the video. It's a really neat video. Enjoy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe today. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.